What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well today. What is going on, everyone? We got a ton of great stuff to go over, but what's going on, everyone? I hope we are doing all extremely well. I know it is a day late. I should have done a live stream yesterday, but I did get caught in the middle of some stuff, but I am here today to go over a ton of great stuff. A lot is going on around in baseball right now, so we are going to be touching over all of that. But before we get into that, please feel free, everyone, drop a like on this video, share your channel with his friends, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, everything you can to help out the channel. As always, I would appreciate it. But in today's stream, we're going to be going over the New York Mets and Miami Marlins series summary. I guess we'll briefly be touching on the Mets and Braves preview. I mean, one game's out of it already, and we only have tonight and tomorrow. So maybe I'll briefly touch on that. I do definitely 100% want to go over the MLB standings because so much is going on right now with that. We saw the Rays and Yankees game just ended, and there is a lot to take out of. The Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Mariners, and some other teams that are mathematically eliminated so far this season. So I do want to go over that. Yes, I am Rays Talk with Hayden today. I'm aware of that. I'm sure some of you guys already said that in the comments. So quickly, let's just dive right into it. Let's stop wasting any time. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I will definitely get into all your comments as soon as I am done with my little spiel. So please feel free to drop any suggestions, comments, questions you have in the comment section below, as always. So let's dive right into the Mets and Marlins series. So Mets had a very interesting series against the Marlins. Yes, they were already mathematically out of it, so I know people are like, oh, it doesn't even matter this series. Yeah, I guess theoretically it doesn't. You have the Mets and Marlins, both out of playoff contending. Both teams are way below 500. So yeah, I guess this game in some sense, this series didn't really matter. It wasn't really helping out any other teams besides really the Phillies or Braves. It wasn't helping them out. But yeah, overall, it was a great series for the Mets. We saw a lot was taken out of it. But let's get right into it in game one, which started off as a 7-inning doubleheader. And this is going back Tuesday, so almost a full week ago. So this was quite a while ago. So I'm definitely going to have to look up my notes for this. But pretty much game one of Tuesday, we saw the New York Mets won game one of Tuesday. Pretty much, we won 5-2. Not many times I've seen the Mets get a big score like this. Usually it's always been one-run games this season, but the Mets won 5-2. Great to see. We had Marcus Stroman on the bump for the Mets. 5 innings pitched, surrendered 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Stroman looked very, very, very solid on the bump going in. He only had 1 hit going into the 4th inning, I believe it was. Stroman looked like his old self that he was hoping to be in the early first half. I really like what I saw out of Stroman in that game. We saw his splitter slider was really in effect. What else did we see? The splitter slider was in effect. The ground ball to fly ball ratio was favoring the ground ball. His chase rate was going up. He just looked overall very adequate. Great day for Marcus Stroman. I really liked what I saw in Marcus Stroman on Tuesday. Following that, Seth Lugo came in. He was pretty quiet, and he didn't have the best series, so I guess it was good that he started off quiet. He started off quiet this game, 2 strikeouts. Edwin Diaz came into the 9th, or in this case, the 7th, because it was a 7-inning doubleheader to close it out to get his 31st save on the season. Following that, in terms of this Mets offense, Francisco Lindor had an RBI single. Great to see Lindor start to get things off in the 1st inning. He had an RBI single to drive in Brandon Nimmo. Following into the 3rd inning, we had Jonathan Villar on an RBI single to right field, driving Michael Conforto. So that was really good to see. In the 3rd inning, Kevin Pillar had an RBI to Eddie Alvarez, which resulted in an error. So great base running there by Javier Baez to go score into that. Following into the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor had a 2-run homer. Good to see Francisco Lindor get a 2-run homer, really to determine this game kind of because it would have been a close-scoring game. So, yeah, that was pretty good to see. Great to see. That drove in Jose Peraza. He's been, I guess, solid off the bench lately. And believe it or not, a Mets pitcher gets a win. I mean, I know win-loss record doesn't really matter anymore. But this was like the first time in like 10 years that the Mets pitching staff actually had a win for a starter and not a bullpen person. So great to see. Yeah, Marcus Stroman got his 10th win on the season, and Edwin Diaz got his 31st save of the season. Really, really needed for this team. Getting into game 2, another 7-inning doubleheader, which was later that night. The Mets won 2-1, a 1-run game. So that's why I say we've been seeing a lot of those this season. You had Noah Syndergaard start. Good to see Thor back on the bump for the Mets. Syndergaard looked pretty up to scratch. His first day back not pitching in over almost 2 years. Syndergaard did start this game, only an inning pitch, 2 strikeouts. He did top out at 98 miles per hour at one time. Obviously, he wasn't throwing any sliders or the breaking pitches. We know that was most likely what resulted in his setback back in May and June. So a lot of people were a little worried on he would look like a little bit different. But for the most part, honestly, Syndergaard, he looked pretty solid. I liked what I saw in him. He was pretty much throwing high heat, pretty much really to start this game. So really good to see Noah Syndergaard really, really get in on the action. Everyone was upset that he was only went in 1 inning, but I mean, listen, he's coming back from Tommy John. That's some serious stuff. And I mean, regardless if it was or wasn't, you don't want to overwork this dude. I know that's kind of pretty much been the Mets. That's pretty much been the Mets thing this season, but, you got to be careful with that. Following that, Trevor Williams did come in to take over for him. 4 innings pitched, surrendered 5 hits, a run, and 6 strikeouts. Really no complaints with Trevor Williams. I guess he's been a solid guy. Williams, like I said, he's kind of like the guy that doesn't look great on paper, but I guess pretty much for the most part, he just gets the job done. So, yeah, pretty much good to see. Following that, we did have Kevin Pillar in terms of the Mets offense. My apologies. In terms of the other pitching for the night, we could pretty much see that Miguel Castro, Trevor May, and Jeurys Familia all came into this game, as well as Brad Hand, and no damage, pretty quiet. And in terms of the Mets offense, we saw that Kevin Pillar was pretty solid. He was responsible for one of the big runs in this game. He had an RBI single to left field, which would drive in Jonathan Villar, the Alar brothers, as I like to call them. And then, as we know, I was live for this game. So pretty much in the bottom of the 9th, James McCann had an RBI to the pitcher's mound for the walk-off win. So really good to see. And we know Brad Hand was eligible for the win. Good to see. So that was game 2. But getting into game 3 of this series, we could see it was Wednesday's game, and the Mets unfortunately lost a 1-run game by the score of 3-2. Mets love losing 1-run games. I think that's what they're known for. We had Taijuan Walker making his final appearance on the season, and obviously this was rough, a really rough second half for Taijuan Walker, pretty much since the All-Star break. This dude really struggles. Giving up hard contact, the transferring from the 2-seamer to the 4-seamer was an issue for him, as well as getting barreled. This dude's barrel percentage went up from 7% to May to almost 30% in September. So the barrels were a big thing for Taijuan Walker in the second half, especially in the month of September. So yeah, tough to see. But 7 innings pitched, surrendered 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He was pretty solid. His command was there for the strike zone. His 4-seamer was on point. He pounded the strike zone well, and he limited barrels. That's pretty much what you could ask for in Taijuan Walker's final start. And, you'd say 2 runs. The Mets, had that. And then, unfortunately, following that, 7.1 innings pitched. In the middle of the 8th inning, he unfortunately let a runner on. Luis Rojas went to his bullpen and put in Seth Lugo. A little too late, he put in Lugo. Lugo has not been having it this year. I think the aliens abducted him and sucked the baseball out of him. Faced 2 batters, 2 hits, a run, and a strikeout. Not the best for Lugo. That did give up the leading run for the Marlins. Rojas is to blame for this game, as I stated, pretty much because, you took out pretty much. This has been with Rojas all season, is, he does not know when to take out his starting pitcher or put in a relief pitcher. So that's been the thing. That's pretty much been the agenda for Rojas all season. Aaron Loop came in, Elite Loop as I like to call him. He came in, he was solid. In terms of the Mets offense, kind of quiet. So I mean, maybe you could kind of say, the next day the Mets score a bajillion runs, and you lose a 1-run game here. So I mean, how much do you want to play the blame game? I guess. So yeah, in terms of the offense, Conforto had a solo home run to right center, 469 feet. That was his farthest of his career, so good to see. And then later on to drive and Dominic Smith. So good to see, I guess, really no complaints there. But getting into the big game, Game 4, which was Thursday's game, this is where all the action took place. Game 4, which was Thursday, the Mets won. Mets won 12-3. I do not remember the last time the Mets scored this many runs in a game. We had Rich Hill on the bump for the Mets. Rich Hill started, he pretty much ended his season with the Mets pretty well. That was good to see, 5 innings pitched, surrendered 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. We saw his solid curveball was there. Always like to see that out of Rich Hill. And then following that, we had Hand, Castro, May, Hembry in the bullpen. No complaints there. Our pitching was pretty up to scratch, only gave up 3 runs. And really, it was just on contact home runs. So, yeah, that was really good to see there. In terms of the Mets offense, we can see that in the bottom of the second inning, Pete Alonso hit a solo home run to left center for his 36th on the season. So good to see Pete Alonso. We all know I like when Pete Alonso hits some home runs. We all know how much of a Pete Alonso fan I am here. So, yeah, good to see. Going on into the third inning, Michael Conforto had an RBI single. He came into clutch. He went the other way, something that if he did a lot more in this season, I mean, let's be real. If the shift was banned and Conforto, well, let me say this. If Conforto went the other way to every bat and the shift was banned, he would easily be a 400 hitter. I mean, if the shift was banned, he would be. Conforto is a victim of the shift. But yeah, pretty much he had an RBI single to drive in James McCann. Getting on into the fourth inning, we know that Jonathan VR did have an RBI single to drive in Javier Baez, and a little rally broke out in the fourth inning, as we know. James McCann had an RBI double to drive in McNeil and VR. Good to see. Conforto had a single, an RBI single, driving James McCann. Going on into the eighth inning, bases loaded. Francisco Lindor hits a grand slam that drives in McNeil, VR, and Nimmo. Lindor, his 20th home run of the season. Good to see. And then going on into the eighth inning, Alonso with Michael Conforto on second base. Pete Alonso hits a 2-run homer off of Cy Young pitcher Sandy Leone. So yeah, good to see, and that was Alonso's 37th home run on the season. So that was a good series. I mean, Mets had a pretty solid series with the Marlins. It could have easily been sweepable, but there's a man in the Mets dugout named Luis Rojas, and he's not super good on when to take out his starting pitchers. That has pretty much been Rojas's fair share of complexities for most of the season on when and when not to take out a starting pitcher. Rojas will learn. That is, I guess, all we're going to say. I mean, speaking of managers on the hot seat, we know Jason Tingler just got fired, just announced today. Really surprising. I mean, it's not surprising. The Padres haven't been performing very well lately, but I mean, with 2 days left into the season, I mean, they're not going to the playoffs, so you have 2 days left. I mean, are the Mets firing Rojas right now? I don't know. I mean, the Padres are on like a big losing spree, so maybe that's why. So yeah, that is the New York Mets and Miami Marlins series summary. I guess we'll briefly touch on the Mets and Braves. There's not a whole lot to say just because game 1 already happened, and I already have a recap for that. So I don't want to go too much into depth with that. But I guess briefly we can go over it. Game 2, which is tonight, was originally supposed to be started by Trevor Williams, but pretty much Louis Rojas stated that I believe it was going to be Carlos Carrasco and that they were going to push Williams back for tomorrow. So today will be Carlos Carrasco on the bump for the New York Mets. And pretty much, as we know, with Carrasco, I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but pretty much goals for Carrasco. get out of the first inning, and don't give up the long ball. That is really all I'm going to say with Carlos Carrasco. Otherwise, that's all. We know the first inning has been something really difficult for him this season. So hopefully he can get out of it. So that'll be tonight's game 7:20. Braves starter is to be announced. Getting into game 3 tomorrow, the final game of the season. It'll be at 3:20 Sunday. It is supposedly supposed to be Noah Syndergaard. I still have to read who is starting it. But in the scenario, Noah Syndergaard starts it. We know Syndergaard only has an inning pitched under his belt. Clean slate, 2 strikeouts, no record, no ERA, no hits given up, nothing. So great. And if Trevor Williams is to start, Williams has a 4-2 record, 4.29 ERA, and 85 strikeouts. Solid acquisition from the Cubs at the deadline. For the most part, he's been solid. He's been in the bullpen for most of his time with the Mets. He's mainly been coming out in 7-inning doubleheader situations. Pound the strike zone well. And I mean, otherwise, I think that's all we could ask for out of Trevor Williams. Kind of like a guy like I compare. I mean, you go to his Savant, his reference, MLB, he doesn't look like, his numbers don't look great, but he gets the job done for the most part. So yeah, that is really the Mets and Braves series preview. Pretty much, Braves, to briefly going on them, Braves, they clinched the NL East, their 4th year in a row. We know the Braves started off the season really tough. They had a fair share of injuries in Ronald Acuna Jr., and they missed some pieces in that rotation. Ian Anderson was out for a bit. Mike Soroka was out for this whole season and still is due to his Achilles injury, which he got in 2020. And we know Max Fried was injured for a bit, and, he was kind of iffy for some parts. And then the Braves, obviously, they had to shop around. We know the Marcell Ozuna leave of absence was a big thing. And, they were really struggling at the deadline. I mean, they had a really slim chance of making the playoffs, and they made moves. They needed outfield depth to cover for Ozuna and Acuna. And, they pretty much, they acquired Eddie Rosario. They acquired Jorge Soler and Jock Peterson. And those guys have been covering their jobs. Maybe not as good as Acuna and Ozuna, but they have been covering their jobs for the most parts, coming into clutch at times when needing. And, I mean, making bat-to-ball contact and providing a nice defense out there. I mean, in terms of the Braves MVP of the season, I'm going to go with Austin Riley, no doubt. Austin Riley, I mean, he's putting up numbers that Chipper Jones would have as a third baseman. Huge year from Austin Riley, 33 home runs, 105 RBIs, 303 average, and an 899 OPS. So that's something you don't see every day, especially in a third baseman. You don't see that much power from a third baseman. Maybe a DH or a catcher or a first baseman, but not from a first baseman, not from a third baseman. So yeah, really, really good to see. I guess the Braves, I mean, not as a Met fan, but good to see them bounce back. So yeah, that's really all I have. We are going to go on to the MLB standings because a lot just went down today. So I kind of do want to go over that. So hopefully you guys do enjoy. So let's get into it. As we know, getting into it, the Tampa Bay Rays clinched the division. They are 100% in it. Officially have 100 wins. They beat their highest streak at 97, which was I think in 2013. So they have 100 wins under the belt this season. Great season for the Rays. I am going to do a little mini recap of each MLB teams and how they did this season, probably after the World Series when everything's kind of over with during the off season. That way we could, make full of judgments and, if the teams are in the playoffs, we could say what they didn't do. Stuff like that. So, yeah, really, really good to see out of the Rays. Rays had a great season. They are coming off a 2-game win against the Yankees. They have their final game against the Yankees tomorrow. We're going to see, can the Rays finish off the regular season good on a nice sweep against the Yankees? Regardless, they're in it. So this is just the game to see if they could have 101 wins opposed to 100. I think Shane Baz pitched today. Great start for them. Brandon Lau had an awesome start today. 3 home runs. Austin Meadows had a great day. Yeah, Rays, they're going to be a dangerous team in October. Two-game winning spree, 7-3 in their last 10. They're looking good. New York Yankees, second place. They are just hovering around the wild card spot. They are looking to see if they can make the wild card. 91-70. They have one game left. They are on a 2-game losing streak, 7-3 in their last 10. They struggled against the Rays. In terms of the first game against the Rays yesterday, they were struggling with runners in scoring position and offensive production for the most part. And then today, I mean, for the most part, same thing. And Jordan Montgomery was not super adequate for them. Yankees, they're really holding on for their dear lives. So, yeah, we'll see if they still have sole possession of the first wild card spot, but that could easily be tied today with the Boston win. And I believe the Red Sox are playing the Nationals right now. No score, so we're going to have to see what happens. So, yeah, we will see. We will see. Third place, the Boston Red Sox, 90-70. One game streak, 5-5 in their last 10. They are playing the Nationals now, so Alex Cora is going to have to put out his best lineup today and tomorrow. Every move that Cora makes, every pitch that is thrown, every swing that is taken by the Red Sox offense will determine if they're going to make the playoffs in the next 48 hours. So we will see. Getting into fourth place, Toronto Blue Jays, 89-71. One-game winning streak, 5-5 in their last 10. Did not have the best series against the Yankees. They unfortunately took 1 out of 3. You would have easily wanted to hope that this Blue Jays team could have taken at least 2 out of 3 against the Yankees to still be alive. They are mathematically still in it, but we'll get over the chances of them actually making the playoffs. So in today's stream, we're just going to be going over teams that are in the playoffs, if not in the hunt still. Orioles are eliminated, as we know. In terms of the Central, it's pretty much all set in stone. Chicago White Sox clinched the division. I guess any game they're playing is just, boost their stats, try to play for home field advantage, I believe is what most teams are doing now. So we're going to have to see what they have plans for. Rotation's healthy. That was a big thing for the White Sox this season. If their rotation can just stay healthy. Obviously, as we know, Dylan Cease was out for a bit. Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Carlos Rodon. They've had their fair share of injuries, but they're back, and look what they've been doing. You know, if their bullpen could hold down and their offense could continue to play how they are, they're a dangerous team in October. And as we know, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and then Minnesota Twins are all mathematically eliminated. So I guess all these teams that are eliminated are kind of playing for, I guess, a draft spot and to boost their stats. In terms of the West, very crazy, very crazy. Houston Astros clinched the AL West. Good to see from the Astros. They are on a 1-game losing streak, though. They lost to the A's last night, 4-6 in their last 10. They clinched the division against the Athletics, so that was very much needed. Astros are having a big season. They have the best record against teams that are over 500. Kyle Tucker has been having a burst-out season. Carlos Correa has been picking it up lately. Alex Bregman is back from an injury. Jose Altuve has been really showing himself off. Good bounce back here from the Astros. In second place, in the wild card hunt, Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners unfortunately lost to the Angels last night in a much-needed win. Chances are slim, but they're mathematically still in it. We know that what is his face? The former Mets prospect, I forgot, Jared Kelenic. He was very relevant. He was really trying to boost up that fan base. I mean, I was watching some of those games and highlights. T-Mobile Park was exploding. Really good to see out of them. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So we'll see if they could do what they could do against the Angels for today and tomorrow. We'll see. And as we know, the A's, Angels, and Rangers are all mathematically eliminated. So, yeah, kind of unfortunate season for – well, yeah, I mean, kind of sucks to see the A's get kicked out pretty earlier on than expected. They were really shooting for the wild card. Matt Olson was having a huge season. Matt Chapman was starting to show himself around. And, yeah, I mean, from what we've seen, the A's really – I mean, you know, they get a lead in these games and then, you know, kind of like the Mets, they lose the games in a 2-1 run difference. And as we know, Angels are out of it and Rangers are both out of it. Getting into the National League, pretty much everything is set in stone for the most part. The Atlanta Braves, as we know, did clinch the division 4th year in a row, 86-73 right now. They are playing the Mets, so it doesn't matter really what happens now. They're still in the playoffs. Just, I guess it really just depends for a draft pick and home field advantage, and yeah. 8-2 in their last 10. 8-2 in their last 10. They've really been picking it up. Yeah, they're looking good. They are. Braves are looking good. Offense has been picking it up lately, so we'll see what they can do against the Mets tonight. Phillies, Mets, Nationals, and Marlins are out of it. Phillies, they had a really good run, 4.5 games back from the Braves. They had a really, really good run towards the end, a big stretch. Unfortunately, they kind of just slimmed down this Brave series. I mean, that Brave series, like I said, was going to determine everything. Bryce Harper, he really didn't show up that series. I mean, I think, Bryce Harper really struggled that series. That was a big thing. That was a time that Bryce Harper really needed to step up, and he unfortunately could not get the job done. JT Realmuto and all the other guys were okay, but point is they didn't win the game, and the Braves pitching was just able to shut down the Phillies lineup. Pretty solid season from the Phillies. I mean, a finish off over 500. People, had them as a fourth-place team. Good to see that, I guess. In terms of the Central, the Brewers are division champions, as we know, 95-65. I was hoping they would get to 100 wins, but unfortunately, they were not able to. They did lose their last 2, and they are 4-6 in their last 10. We're going to see what the Brewers can get rolling. They're coming off a series against, as we know, the Cardinals, which that was pretty big on them. Unfortunately, dropped that 1-3. And then they play the Dodgers today, tomorrow, and yesterday. And as we know, they had some little issues. As we know, Trey Turner hit a grand slam against them to give them the lead last night. So that kind of messed them up. But, they're still in it, so it doesn't really make a difference anymore. And then as we know, in the wild card spot, we have the St. Louis Cardinals, 90-70. Big second half for the Cardinals. They had a huge 3-week stretch where they just boosted everything. 9-1 in their last 10, and they have a 2-game winning streak. We'll see what the Cardinals can get rolling. They lost. They won. I think they lost or won the other day. They're playing the Cubs, so they did win. Okay. And as we know, Reds, Cubs, Pirates mathematically out of it. In terms of the Pirates, not really much to say with them, but what is his face? The dude with the long hair. Cole Tucker. He had a good day yesterday. He had 2 nice defensive plays. We stepped that outs above average in defensive run saves. I'm sure anyone would take that. And he hit a grand slam as a leadoff hitter. So good to see Cole Tucker providing some stuff for the Pirates. Getting into the National League West, really close. Dodgers in first place, 106-54. Have a 7-game winning streak and 9-1 in their last 10. They were able to provide big against the Rockies and Padres to help boost them up. Giants, they're looking good. In second place, as we know, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are also starting to show up lately. They are also starting to show up. As we know, the Dodgers, 104-56. They're only 2 games back. They have a 5-game win spree, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. You would really hope, in terms of the Dodgers side, that they could win these next 2, and Giants lose the next 2, and that would tie it and possibly have a game 163. As we know, Padres mathematically out of it. Not looking too good. 7-game losing spree, 1-9 in their last 10. You don't like to see that in terms of the Padres. They had a good first half. Second half didn't treat them so well offensively, as well as their pitching staff kind of started to slither down a little bit. They are under 500. Sucks to see. They had huge high expectations this season. And as we know, in 4th and 5th place, the Rockies and Diamondbacks mathematically out of it. Pretty much getting into what's going to happen right now. As we know, Rays have the best record in the American League. They are the East champions in the American League. In the West is the Astros, and in the Central is the White Sox. Currently still alive, we have the Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners, and Blue Jays. Yankees and Red Sox do have possession of the first and second wild card spot. Yankees just lost today. They have a 2-game losing streak going on, and they have their final game tomorrow. Red Sox are playing the Nationals now. They're finishing up, going into the top of the 4th. No score, 0-0. So we'll see. Can the Red Sox get something going? Can they tie up the Yankees? We will see. Then you got the Mariners. They would need to take 2 games. They would need to take tonight and tomorrow's game and have the Yankees lose tomorrow's game. And then same scenario for the Blue Jays. And obviously this would cause a game 163. Which would be really weird because, I don't know how they would have 4 teams or 3 teams doing that. So that would actually be really weird. Yeah, I don't know how they would do that. It's MLB. I'm sure they'll have a plan. So Yeah, we're gonna have to see how they do that. That's gonna be really interesting to see how MLB does that. If they have three teams in a 163, I don't know how they would do that. Well, we'll see. We'll see. That'll be really awesome. I would definitely tune into that game. I mean, the Mariners, they were really trying to show up, and they still are in their fan base. I mean, T-Mobile Park, I believe is the name. They were really balling last night and this week, so they deserve it. So yeah. Getting into the National League, the Giants are looking for the division, but currently the division winners are the Brewers and the Braves, as we know. In the second spot of the wild card spot, which it's pretty much solidified, is the St. Louis Cardinals, as we know. Obviously, the Dodgers and the Giants are still in the hunt to determine who's going to win the division and who will be the first wild card spot. Pretty much, what's going to have to happen is if the Dodgers want to be the champions of the division, they're going to have to win the next two, and the Giants are going to have to lose the next two, and that's going to leave them as the same record. That's going to leave them at 106 and 56. So, yeah, we're going to have to see, obviously, would that be to a game 163? Most likely it would. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. So, really going to be really big performances for these teams coming up. So that is the MLB standings. That's going to be really awesome. I'm super excited, but let's get into your guys' comments. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, hopefully you drop them below as always. But what's going on, everyone? AB, Gio, what's going on? Stella, what's going on? Michael, John, DJ Moore Burner, what's going on? Eric says the Padres fired Chase Tingler. Yeah, that was kind of unexpected, but I mean, not really. You thought they would have done it maybe like when the season ended. But yeah, what's Eric? What's going on? I appreciate you tuning in. Gio, Michael's going to say, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but what should the Mets do with Robinson Cano? People are saying he may start at third or be a bench bat. Yeah, we're going to have to see what's going to go on with Cano. His name has been brought up. A couple people have asked me about him in the chat before. If Robinson Cano is a starting third baseman, I will probably cry. That would be very embarrassing for this Mets team. Listen, he has stuff working with them, but, you know, when you have the shot to go after these elite third basemen like Carlos Correa, Arenado is staying in St. Louis, and I knew he was. Bryant is probably going to stay in San Francisco. I spieled about that before. So, but still, if you have the option to, you know, put Baez at third or go after Correa or another third baseman on the market, go for it. I mean, don't shoot it down for the renaissance of Robinson Cano. If anything, people are saying, you know, you have $20 million, you know, do you just eat up his money and say walk? Or do you try to get something useful out of him? He could be a DH. I mean, that's the thing. The DH will likely come next year to the NL. And we have so many DH candidates. Robinson Cano, J.D. Davis, Dominic Smith. We have a lot of choices. So that is a possibility. He could be a nice bench bat for the Mets. I mean, he's a veteran. He seems to be clutch in certain situations. He has a long history. He's a playoff experienced guy. So he could really help out these young guys that are being called up for the Mets. And the Mets kind of have a young core right now, believe it or not. So, yeah. Quentin, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. Gio says, in typical Mets fashion, a day late and $1 short. But, hey, there's always next year. Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. John, what's going on? Kobe. Ruben says Rays have 100 wins. They do. First time in their history. John, what's going on? He says, man, I love the Rays. Yeah, of course. We love the Rays. Ruben says, what do you think the Mets will do with Peterson and McGill next season? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I question what they're going to do because I forgot about David Peterson, to be realistic with you. McGill, in terms of Tyler McGill, we'll start off with him. McGill is coming into the question is the innings pitched and the pitch count. He was kind of rushed up, kind of like David Peterson due to injuries. And he didn't really, he's never been in the minor leagues that long, obviously. And his innings pitched and pitch count and innings pitched, it's not really as high as it was in the major leagues. I think he has like 80 or 90 innings pitched right now. In the minor leagues, he had like 40 to 50. So that's a big increase. So yeah, we're going to have to see, obviously, what the Mets are going to plan to do with McGill. Do you start him off in AAA? Do you put him in the bullpen in the meantime? He's been nice for us. He kind of got a little fatigue and started to get barreled and struggle our first time around the order. But his stuff was filthy. I mean, his slider, put-away pitch was filthy. The fastball was nice. We're just going to have to see. I mean, can he not get fatigue? I think that's really what it comes down to. David Peterson, listen, I like a nice lefty in the rotation. It's still uncertain, what lefties we're going to have access to in our rotation. I would love to have Peterson back, potentially if you were to start him off in AAA. He didn't spend much time in the minor leagues, never been in AAA, kind of rushed up in 2020. Had a bit of a sophomore slump this season, as we know. Had a couple solid good games. I think one against the Orioles, the Phillies, the D-backs, but then kind of got lit up in the other dozen. So yeah, we're going to have to see what goes on with David Peterson. You hope, because you really would like a nice lefty in the rotation. Mets don't have much left-handed pitching, really, besides Loop and Hand, and I think Hand's gone this offseason and uncertain with Rich Hill. So yeah, we're going to have to see, but hopefully those guys, at least one of them could be in the rotation. Maybe one could be in the bullpen, or potentially one with them will be in AAA. Kobe says Mets need to hire an experienced manager, hitting coach. They need to get pitching depth and some offensive help so that they could hit with runners in scoring position for the 2022 season. Kobe, you summed it up. Make the phone call, my friend. Appreciate it, John. Appreciate it. Quentin's going to say the Mets need to focus on homegrown and current Mets this offseason, extend Baez, Stroman, Loop, and give Conforto a qualifying offer, then get free agents. Yeah, I could see where you're coming from with that. I mean, you don't want to completely neglect the free agent market, just because, I mean, guys like Correa, they're going to get a lot of talks. I mean, and they already are. So I see the point. You want to focus on the guys that have been here first. I get that, but you also you can't completely neglect them. I agree with who you want to extend and the qualifying offer. I would also add Syndergaard to the qualifying offer list. I mean, Noah Syndergaard, obviously, he's a guy that we kind of put up with, so you may as well keep him around. He has stuff. He's going to talk with his agent this offseason, and I think he'll most likely take the qualifying offer for a year. Maybe I take anywhere from $9 million, and maybe he could have some incentive bonuses if he pitches really well, or if his innings pitched is up there. Maybe he can get a little extra money, something like that. So he could work for that. But he looks solid. Listen, it was one inning. I'm not going to say he's completely elite and back, but he looks solid. He looked good in AAA. The only question is he can't throw any breaking pitches and sliders. So will he be able to do that in spring training? We'll see. That's what spring training's for, to adjust your pitching. And so we'll see. Marco, what's going on, man? Nick, do you think it's possible Vientos or Beatty could start their base next season? I think it's a little too soon for both of those guys. Beatty's young. Vientos would probably get called up quicker. To be honest with you, I could see them both as September call-ups. Devin, what's going on? Cool, what's going on? Quentin, B40 says, anyone else think Keith Hernandez was taking cheap shots at Garrett Carter during? Yeah, I did not watch the 30-30 documentary. I still have to watch that. I was watching the Mets game when that was on, so I definitely still have to watch that. Gallupo says the Mets season fell once DeGrom got hurt. He was an inspirational captain to the team and always will be. Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's pretty much when it started to happen. Our pitching was really carrying us the first half. DeGrom got hurt. It put more pressure on Stroman, Walker, Hannah McGill. And yeah. LFGM, Jack, what's going on? Ivan Dos, Mark's here. Good to see you here. He says, good to see Rich Hill and Tyler McGill finish off the season strong. Yeah, pretty much. They had solid performances. No complaints. I agree with you. Cole, what's going on? Paul, Connor says, go Red Sox. Paul says, poor Yankees. Yes. I mean, they have a shot, but they lose tomorrow, and Rays, the Blue Jays and Mariners win tomorrow and today. Game 163. Martin says, Pete, what's up? What's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. Devin says, facts. All I speak is facts, man. Cole says it's sad to see Conforto like this, but we had to move on. Yeah, I mean, personally, listen, he's not completely gone. I just think it's the possibility of him being gone. So he wants to enjoy it, as well as the fans. So, I mean, it makes sense why they're all getting upset about it. Mr. Cool says, what happened to Familia? Yeah, so I did want to read that. So pretty much, Familia put out like a weird thing on Instagram saying that he wanted to thank all the Met fans. So he pretty much just said on Instagram, I have no words to describe all my feelings for New York. I know that the things have not been easy, but for every day I get out of bed, one of the first things that crosses my mind is what I could be better at in baseball and give the best to the best fans in the world of baseball. The Mets organization gave me the opportunity to see my dream come true, and I will never forget that. I have a very, very large tattoo in depths of my heart that says Mets for life. For the fans, despite the boos, bad words, and everything bad that they may think or wish of me, I put myself in the chair and understand it perfectly that they have been waiting for a championship for many years, and they gave me the opportunity of importance to space that in my life. Thank you, LFGM, in my life. So I don't know he's a free agent, so obviously it makes sense. And it's still questionable if he is going to get re-signed. There's a strong possibility he won't, but then there's a strong possibility he will. Obviously he's a free agent, so it kind of makes sense why. Kind of unfortunate to see. Familia is a guy that the Mets pretty much wanted to get rid of when he was even in Oakland, so it kind of makes sense. Listen, I understand he pretty much blew Game 1 of the World Series for us. I understand he's had a lot of chokes. I don't know. It's a lot to process, I'll tell you that. Kobe says it was emotional seeing Conforto play that game against the Marlins Thursday night. I really hope he is good with the qualifying offer. And that's the thing. If Conforto really loves his fan base, if he really says what he is saying and means it, he'll accept the qualifying offer, which I don't think he will. But we'll see. Jed Carson, what's going on? John says, let's go Red Sox. Of course. Nick says, who do you think will be the most complicated re-signing this offseason for the Mets? In terms of in-house or out-house, I guess I'm assuming in-house. In-house, I think Conforto is going to be a big thing because the uncertainty. Bias has kind of proven himself at least. Loop's proven himself. Syndergaard has kind of proven himself. He's pitched a game. So I think Conforto is going to be the biggest guy of concern. The thing with Conforto is he's been a consistent player for most of his career. He's had some streaky stretches. It's just this season would have been nice to, have at least. If Conforto had maybe at least 3 weeks of a solid performance, maybe I think about something. But we saw maybe a series where he was solid. But yeah, I'm going to go with Conforto. It's going to be hard. He is a Scott Boras client, so he is a pain in the behind. I respect him. He fights for his guys, but he's going to be a battle. He is. Quinn says, what third basemen are free agents this year besides Bryant? Lockhart third baseman. Let's see. 2022 MLB free agents. You got Correa, but he's theoretically a shortstop, so I guess if you want to consider him a third baseman, I don't think there's that many options. Arenado was one, but he opted out of that, and he's going to stay in St. Louis, which makes sense. You got Matt Duffy, Todd Frey. You got Eduardo Escobar, Kyle Seager, Matt Carpenter, Chris Bryant. That's really it. And I think Jose Ramirez has a club option. So we'll see. That's going to be really interesting to see what third basemen are around. Obviously, third baseman is the thing for the Mets right now. We'll have to wait and see what goes on. Gallup says, what are your rookies for the year? Rookies of the year, in terms of the NL, I'm really going to go Jonathan India. Jonathan India has had a great season. Trevor Rogers had a solid season. He was injured for a bit and kind of trickled down a little bit in the second half. But Jonathan India, was consistent for most of the season. At least 75% of it, he was really consistent. So far this season, a 3.6 WAR, wins above replacement, 142 hits, 21 homers, 269 average, 69 ribbies, 12 stolen bases, having a slash line at 376, 458, and 834, and an OPS plus of 112. So that's pretty much above the average player. And especially for a rookie, that's an average great rookie season. So I think Jonathan India is easy the one to ask for. He has speed, great ball to bat contact, rookie of the year in my eyes. In terms of the AL, you got some choices. You really do. I want to say Randy Arozarena. I don't know. Let's see. American Rookie of the Year. Randy Arozarena, I really think would be the best shot. MLB. Here, let's see. Yeah, I mean, Randy Arozarena, I guess, is a solid shot. I mean, the thing with Randy Arozarena is, I mean, a lot of people wanted him to win it. I mean, people were saying that he was going to win it just because what he did in the postseason, which he was awesome, but it's this year's Rookie of the Year, not the postseason. So yeah, we're going to have to see really what they could do with that. To be honest with you, I'm probably going to say, I'll probably say Randy Arozarena. I'm trying to think. You got Randy Arozarena. I'm trying to think who else is out there. You got Alek Manoah. He'll probably get some votes. Adolis Garcia's been solid. He wasn't the most consistent this season with getting on base, but he hits for some power. I mean, he has the Rangers rookie record for home runs and RBIs. 30 home runs this season, 79 RBIs. That's a solid rookie season. He has great power. I think leads the league in rookies for outfield assists. Otherwise, solid defender, outs above average. I think he's pretty good in the percentiles for that. Randy Arozarena is pretty solid, as we stated. The Astros pitcher, Luis Garcia, I believe is his name. He can get some votes. Ryan Mountcastle, he can really get some votes to lead the league in homers for rookies. So he's been solid for them. But you know what? I'll probably go with Adolis Garcia still, actually. So yeah, we'll see. We will have to see. But we're probably going to call it a stream here. I do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream, as always. Always a great stream. I know, listen, the Mets are out of it, so a lot of Met fans are kind of just like, bum, which, listen, it makes sense. I get it. But you know what? You stick with your team regardless. The offseason is going to be really, really cool. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on. This offseason, we're going to have weekly live streams to go over. Videos are still going to be pumping out. We're going to do a lot more videos. See, I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream, as always. So if you can, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you are new to the channel, like we said, share this channel with your friends, turn on those post notifications, leave a like, comment, subscribe, anything else. Tell your friends about this channel. If you have to make an account for your dog, please do. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. And yeah, we're probably going to call it a stream here. So yeah, really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Playoffs start October 4th, I believe. Yes. So we'll see how the wild card goes. Going to be a next crazy couple 48 hours in terms of MLB. So yeah, we'll see. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.